The Boston Public Health Commission is making a new effort to remind us about the need to use less salt in our diet. The campaign includes billboard messages and education for shoppers at a farmer's market in Roxbury. To tell us more is our guest, an associate director with the Boston Public Health Commission, Nineequa. Thank you very much for being with us, Nineequa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk about why this is so important to do in the city of Boston.
Yes, definitely. So hypertension is a major issue across the U.S., not just within the city locally. Just looking at the prevalence rates, it's pretty high nationally. The Centers for Disease Control just recently noted that 1 in 3 adults here in the U.S. suffer from hypertension, and only about 50% of those that have a diagnosis with hypertension actually have their blood pressure controlled. And so when we look at the rates locally here in Boston, more than 20% report having a diagnosis, and these rates are disproportionately higher for communities of color. So given the prevalence rates and also just the severity of the condition, you know, it's sometimes referred to as a silent killer, given that hypertension cannot yield some physical symptoms, but is a primary risk factor for other conditions such as heart disease and stroke, which are major, are the leading causes of death in the U.S. here.
Well, you have all this salt in your body, your circulatory system, and it's like a sponge. It retains all this water, so I guess that means the heart has to work harder.
The heart has to work harder, definitely. There's a lot of research that shows that the amount of sodium that we consume is definitely a primary risk factor for developing high blood pressure. And so we at the Boston Public Health Commission saw this as a unique opportunity to relaunch the campaign to really increase the awareness around ways in which you can develop healthier practices in reducing sodium in your diet.
There are a lot of people who, when they hear this advice, they say, but I don't use the salt shaker that much. What's the problem?
Yeah, well, it's definitely processed and packaged foods are a major source of sodium in our diet, and that's actually one of the primary messages of the campaign, is really encouraging Bostonians when they're out shopping and buying processed foods to take a look at the nutrition facts label and really choose the lower sodium choice.
I guess the other problem is when you go out to eat. I have to admit, I don't spend a huge amount of money on this, but when I go out, I find I'm usually almost forced to buy something that's pretty heavily salted.
Yeah, restaurant food is definitely there's options that have very high amounts of salt, and in addition to increasing awareness of this issue and the health effects that are linked to consuming sodium, there are other work that we are doing with organizations locally to really increase the availability of healthier options. So just
all right. So you want to help us manage salt withdrawal here. So what can we do?
Yeah, definitely. So there's 2 actionable items with the campaign. We didn't want to just say salt is bad for you, try to stay away from it. We really wanted to provide 2 actionable items that folks can do to reduce their sodium. And so one is, when you're out shopping, to spot the salt. So take a look at the nutrition facts label and choose the lower sodium choice. The other is spice it up. So when you're cooking at home, there are ways to make your foods flavorful and delicious without actually using salt. There's a lot of guidance on herbs and spices, herbs such as parsley and cilantro, spices such as turmeric and cumin and curries can really add wonderful flavor.
And don't forget some basil too. Maybe.
Yes, basil, and it smells so great. Yes.
Now, you've actually been giving out some packets to get people started in this direction?
Yes. So alongside this campaign, we've partnered with a number of farmers markets locally here in Boston. We are primarily focused on 5 neighborhoods: East Boston, Roxbury, Mattapan, Dorchester and Hyde Park. And many of the local farmers markets will have a number of materials that can be distributed.
Please, let's get a look at that.
Great. So this is a shopping bag. It's a reusable shopping bag that you can get in your local farmers market while supplies last. It states swap the salt and spice it up. Spice up this bag, actually, so you can add all of your produce here. And in addition to that, we just had a event at the Dudley Squares Farmers Market on Friday, where we worked with a local chef and Fresh Food Generation to distribute slices of watermelon and these pre-packaged spice blends. And they're just a great way of really denoting ways that you can really add flavor to your foods without using salt.
Of course, part of this means you're better off making dinner at home, you know, and I'm lucky. I can do that and I have time to clean the dishes too, but some people, that's a struggle.
It is a struggle, and we definitely recognize that there are competing priorities with work schedule and taking care of families, or just whatever your personal responsibilities are. And so it's just making small steps is what we encourage towards you know, just maintaining a healthier lifestyle, and even if it means, you know, buying processed and packaged foods, just trying to go for the lower sodium options, yeah, is an important one.
Right. Now, another potential source of salt, and a lot of us might not realize it, is refreshing drinks, including sports drinks, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well,
Gatorade.
yeah, you know, so much of what we consume can really have an impact on the chronic conditions that we may be at risk for developing, and that includes hypertension and obesity. And you know, we encourage folks to really just take a look at the actual ingredients that are listed, especially on sports drinks, to ensure that you know, that you are consuming something healthy.
That's why they were made for athletes running low on salt. We should mention, if people want some more information, you've got some place online they can go to?
So please visit us at www.bphc.org/swap the salt. It is a dual language campaign. So we have a full campaign running in Spanish as well, called Deja la Sal. So if you're interested in that, please visit our website and visit your local farmers market so you can get some of these great resources.
Very tasty food there.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Okay, thank you.
Nineequa Blanding from the Boston Public Health Commission. We'll have more news in just a moment.